Jennifer, and I'm going to be your host today. Just a little background about myself. I've spent the last over 15 years, getting real close to 20 in secondary and post-secondary education. Helping individuals reach their individual success, and play attention has been a really integral part of that. I've spent time working with nonprofits as well and doing some grant writing and have some small business background as well. So a little bit of everything to share with you, but play attention really has been an integral part as we talk about that today. So I saw a couple of you said I sounded great. So thank you so much, Kimberly. I appreciate that. So we will go ahead and get started. So what we are going to talk about today is we're going to tour the key features that you should be using with your clients. So again, even if you're not a play attention provider, this will give you those key features that we have available. Discuss how you can use the focus assessment as a lead generator. So maybe you are a play attention provider, but you don't have focus. So we'll talk about that. Provide an overview of professional options. So we have a couple different ways to be a professional with play attention. So we will share those and talk through that. Review the help resources available to you, as well as discuss your next steps. So I will be giving you some options for next steps at the end of our webinar today. So number one, the number one reason to offer play attention as a provider in a school for clients is you're able to offer more. So it's a tool that now you can provide and offer for your clients as an additional option. So what does that look like? So you can be the leader in your field. So Play Attention will customize neurocognitive training plans for all of your clients. And I think that is really the big piece that I want to cover today, is that Play Attention is very simple to use. It's out of the box. But it's still very customizable. It's something that if you have a wide variety of clients or you work with a lot of different students, it's still something that can be really, really beneficial for you. And a lot of our professionals will say that, we work with professionals that have, individuals, kiddos that are 6 and 7 all the way up into adulthood. And so really a wide variety. There doesn't have to be a diagnosis, just really helping them build that executive function. So Play Attention has been the leader in neurocognitive training for 25 years, actually over 25 years now. So we've been doing this for a long time. So we've worked with lots of professionals. We've helped professionals develop training plans that are really effective for them and for their clients. So what are some of those key features that we've talked about? So number one, really, if you have been to any of our webinars, you know that our Body Wave armband, which what you see on the screen here, is really the star of the show. Play Attention, though, is the only program. We are the only program out there that integrates the advanced NASA-inspired Body Wave technology. So our Body Wave armband here, you see that on the screen, but I have mine right here. But we integrate it with cognitive skill training and behavioral shaping. So we're using all of those pieces together to really create a plan that works best for each individual. And that's how we can really customize it to work best for each individual. Now, for those of you who may or may not know, our Body Wave armband here, what it actually is able to do is there are sensors on the back of this. And when those sensors are touching bare skin, it's actually able to pick up brain activity indicative of attention. So basically, when you're in your optimal level of attention, when I'm in my optimal level of attention, our brain gives off a very specific electromagnetic signal, and this device is listening for it. So we're picking up that attention in real time. And so that's a really important piece because we're giving individuals that feedback. We are giving them that feedback in real time on something that traditionally is pretty intangible. But we take that and we integrate it with these other pieces, with the cognitive training exercises, the skill training, and the behavioral shaping. And we're going to talk about those pieces as well. So you're actually able, so it's picking up that brain activity indicative of attention. And what you're actually doing is you're now able to control those cognitive exercises with just your attention alone, right? So just your mind. So you're actually able to focus in, pay attention, and you're actually making that game operate. And it's really giving you that aha, right? For individuals that might struggle with attention, even it might be you and your clients or your clients or your students, really a wide variety of individuals, again, that we work with. Most of us have never actually seen our attention in real time. We might think, yeah, we are paying attention, but truly we're not in that optimal level. And this is going to give us that feedback when we are paying attention, but also when we lose that attention. That signal stops firing if we get distracted, we become inattentive. If we lose that focus, that signal stops firing. And then what is going to happen is we're going to get feedback again in our cognitive training exercise. Either the character is going to do the opposite of what we want, or our game's going to freeze. And now all of a sudden we're getting that real feedback, that real-time feedback, and we're experiencing that attention. And we're able to practice it now. And so that's really an important piece of play attention and using that with your clients. Number 2, so I mentioned we have a 3-part integrated program. So we talked about the Body Wave armband. Number 2, the cognitive training exercises. So what I want you to take away from these exercises is you see a lot of different exercises on the screen, but what you see here is exercises that every single one we have on the screen here are triggered by attention. So that foundation that we're building for individuals is that foundation of attention. You may have a student that needs accommodations. Maybe they need some more time to take a test. Maybe they need an area that's less distractions. But if they're not able to focus in and pay attention, sometimes those accommodations aren't always helpful for them. Another example is sometimes we have professionals that are tutors that use play attention because they have really great tools to share to tutor their students. But if their students can't pay attention, then they're unable to really get those tools to make them effective. So that foundation that we need to teach is that attention. And so every single exercise we have on the screen here works on building that foundation of attention. Number 2 is every exercise you see on the screen here also works on processing speed as well as impulse control. So regardless of what we put into their training plan, they are going to work on those 3 skills. But then we can add in. And so you see a lot of different areas here, and we can really, mix and match to customize that plan specifically for them. We have our attention stamina game, and many of you may have seen that. That's really our cornerstone game. It's helping us learn how to sustain our attention at will. But we also have time on task, which helps us with time management, helps us with avoiding procrastination. It helps us get on task, stay on task. So if somebody if you have a parent come in and you're working with their student or with their child and they say, homework should only take about 30 minutes, but it's taking us 2 hours. And then we're ending in arguments at the end. We need to build that skill of time on task. Backing up one, visual tracking is really helping us track that moving object, right? We also have short-term memory, discriminatory processing, and we're going to talk about academic bridge because that's really where we're going to build that transfer and generalization, because we want them to have that experience. We want them to practice in these cognitive training skills, but we also want them to do it in real life, and we're going to give them that opportunity. So when you start with play attention, those first 6 games are the core. So those are our core games that come with the program. However, if you are a current play attention provider and you're looking at the screen and you're saying, wow, there's some games here that I don't have, this is another opportunity for you to increase what you're offering to your clients or your students. So our other games are add-on games. They can be added on at any time. Auditory processing is helping with verbal information. So if an individual has a hard time taking in verbal information, auditory processing is the game for them. Hand-eye coordination and motor skills are working on those coordination. So the hand-eye is more of that fine motor, where the motor skills is more of that gross motor, the actual movement of the body and connection with that mind. Social skills, some individuals really struggle to understand those nonverbal expressions, right? So they miss that somebody's frustrated with them. They miss that somebody might be annoyed. They miss that confusion. And so this works specifically on building that for them. Spatial memory helps us remember where we left things. So if you work with somebody that loses everything, this is a great game to help them build that skill. Working memory is a little bit higher memory level skill, but definitely something we use day in and day out. And it really helps us with problem solving and critical thinking. And so when you're talking about younger individuals, sometimes when you see that they struggle with comprehension or math word problems, that can be an indication that their working memory might need some additional help, as well as when we get older, it's more of that organization, the prioritization, planning, things like that. Now, there's one more game not pictured here, and it's called Lotus. And so if you've been with us for a while, this may be a game that you don't have. It's one of our newer games. It works on mindfulness. We know mindfulness is so very helpful when we're working to build, attention, when we're working to build executive function, maybe if we're struggling with anxiety, if we're struggling with those racing thoughts. But oftentimes, if we struggle with attention, to be mindful is very difficult because we don't know what it's like because our mind is always going. We're taking in so much information. So our Lotus game gives you feedback when you are in that mindful state. So really helping you, again, start to build those foundations so that we eventually can start practicing these skills outside of play attention. So let's talk about full curriculum control. So this is really, really important for professionals. You want to be able to determine what that curriculum looks like for your client, for your student. It doesn't matter if you're working as an educator or not, or a counselor or a therapist, OT, a doctor, a tutor, as I mentioned. You want to have full control over what they're doing. Now, we're obviously going to help train you in building those things, but you have complete control over their curriculum. And so you're able to decide how many games they're playing at one time, what games those look like, and we're putting that into the system. The great thing about it is you have complete control over it, but once you put that information in there, it becomes automated. So you don't have to think about, what are they working on today? Because our artificial intelligence Share Genius is going to do all of that for you. And so very customizable, but it does things for you, makes it very, very user-friendly. Now, if you're going for a while and it's been 6 weeks and you're like, we need to make a little adjustment, still very simple solution to go in and make that adjustment. So it's not like once you set it, you can't change it. It's still flexible, but and giving you that full control as you go through. Then the next area we have, so I mentioned the body wave armband, and I want to back up a little bit on that before we talk about our behavioral shaping, because, I've talked a lot about customization. And because it's picking up specific individuals' brain activity indicative of attention, it's going to meet them where they're at on the different exercises. So that's another way that we're customizing this for them, is because you could have two 11-year-old boys, for that matter, both diagnosed with ADHD, and they're still going to present very differently. And so we want to make sure that we're creating a program that works specifically for them. And so that's another way. And so I just wanted to touch on that to make sure that that was clear also. Not only can you determine what exercises they're doing, it's going to auto adjust to them. So you could have two individuals, even different ages, playing the same game, but it's going to operate very differently for them. So I mentioned the body wave armband. I mentioned it integrated with cognitive training exercises. And I also discussed that the third integration would be our behavioral shaping component. So this is something that's not done very often, but we know it's very effective. So oftentimes you might be working with individuals that have self-distracting behaviors. It might be the fidgets, might be getting frustrated. It might be calling out. And again, you could be using play attention, and maybe you're not using this to its fullest potential. And the reason why it's really important for us to use this integration is oftentimes those behaviors are present. And we want to work on those behaviors because we know there's a one-to-one correlation, meaning when they do that behavior, it's very hard for them to be fully focused and paying attention. So what we want to do is we want to, number one, make them aware of that behavior, because very often they are completely unaware that that behavior is even happening. right? So how many times, and you can raise your hand if this is something that you've experienced before, but you work with a student or you have a client and they'll start humming, and then you'll say, hey, why are you humming? And then they won't even know that they're humming, or they get really frustrated really quick, or they're very fidgety, or they call out in the middle of class or maybe in the middle of your therapy session. So it happens very often and they don't know that it's happening. They're very unaware of that. And we can even call it out, but that doesn't always mean that they're going to be able to connect those dots together, right? So we want to make sure we help them connect those dots, make them aware, and then they can start to regulate that behavior. So the way that this is going to work, and a lot of times it's that impulsivity, right? Coming out in that physical form. We're trying to get them in that attentive state. And now all of a sudden that those behaviors are coming out, and it's really preventing them from being fully focused. And so the way that this will work is you'll have a behavioral shaping, you'll have a rating chart here, and you're just going to observe while they do their training. So there's 19 different self-distracting behaviors, I think actually 18 and an other, so you can type in if there's something there that you don't see. And basically what you're doing is you're observing that individual during their training, because we're putting them in that attentive state. So we're observing their training, they're observing them during their training, and we're looking for these behaviors. And every time we see a behavior, we're just going to make a little mark, right? We're going to count that behavior. Now, we don't always have to engage or redirect. Now, if they're completely going away from play attention, then we probably do. But what we're doing is we're just tracking that information for the system. Because remember, that system's only listening for that attention signature. So at the end of the game, Sheer Genius, that's our artificial intelligence, will pop up a box and say, okay, was there any self-distracting behavior? You enter everything that you found. Now it gathers all of that information and it finds the behavior that's happening the most. And then it's going to set a goal for them. So if there's 2, 3, 4 behaviors, we're not going to work on all of those at one time. We're going to start with one behavior. This is really like exercise for their brain, and we don't want to overwhelm them. And we don't want to overwhelm them with all of these behaviors that they need to work on. So let's say they fidgeted 15 times. So next time they log in, the system's going to set a goal for them. And I'm going to show you that here in a couple slides. And it's going to say, today, let's fidget less than 15 times. So that we're bringing awareness to it right off the bat by setting a goal. But number 2, you're going to track again. And now at the end, you have a teachable moment. You can start to talk about, do you remember fidgeting? Is there anything on your mind? But remember, every game we're working on, we're also working on impulse control. And so we're really working together to give them feedback. So when they do fidget, they're aware and they see their game freeze, or their character does the opposite. And now they've connected the dots. And when they connect the dots, it's much easier, number 1, for them to be aware of it. And then once they're aware of that behavior, they're able to start regulating that behavior. So another really fabulous tool that integrates in the system for you to use. Transfer and generalization. So I brought this up earlier. We can't just play a game, for months and then all of a sudden we have these skills. We have to practice these skills in everyday life. We have to have the experience of that as well. And so Academic Bridge, you might have remembered that on the cognitive skills training slide. Academic Bridge gives us this ability. So Academic Bridge comes into somebody's training plan around 12 sessions because we want them to build some skills up. But it now gives them an opportunity to do homework, to do office work, to have conversations, to read, basically anything that you do on a day-to-day basis that can be difficult for you to focus in and pay attention to. So again, if you're using play attention and you're not integrating this very often, it is a really important piece, and getting it going for your different clients and your students will be very effective. And so they can bring homework into your office. They can do homework in the classroom. If you are working with adults, they can bring something to read, especially something that's a little bit more mundane for them. Because remember, especially if we're working with somebody with ADHD, generally speaking, if things are fun and exciting and they're passionate about it, then they can pay attention. But when things become mundane and dull and difficult, that's where they struggle. And so we want to build that skill for them. And so the way Academic Bridge is going to work is it's still going to track that attention, but now they're doing something in real life. And so it will run in the background. and it's looking for an optimal level of attention. So there'll be a little chart, and the red line will be their attention in real time, and the yellow line will be their optimal level of attention. So when they're above that optimal level of attention, they're going to hear good, great. And as long as they stay there, they'll occasionally hear that. But at any time, if they lose that attention for any reason, they're going to hear focus. So now, instead of daydreaming for 15 minutes and realizing, holy smokes, what have I been doing for the last 15 minutes? Soon as you go out of that attentive state, it's going to give you that feedback so it can bring you back. And all of this while, we're using this training to build those neural pathways in your brain for these skills. So a really important piece as we move through the program. All sessions automatically begin with a review of the previous performance and end with a journal for reflection. So before they get started with their session for the day, it's going to recap how they've done last time. They can look at the different games they played, how they performed, the best that they've performed there, how they performed last time, and average. So it's going to give them a lot of great information. And then when they end their session for the day, it allows them to do a journal entry. And this is really great because this helps them with that self-reflection. And the journal entry asks them, what was the distraction level for the day? Was it low, medium, or high? And then it asks them, what have I learned? What's something that I've learned today? And what's something that I'm proud of? Because we want them to reflect, but we want that positive, right? We want that positive. So what is something that I'm proud of today? I got through all of my games. I tried a new game. What does that look like? And really helping them with that process. So 3 catalysts are required for brain change. So we know certain things need to be present for our brain to make changes. The number one is attention. And that's why everything is rooted in that foundation of attention for us. We need that challenge. And that kind of takes me back to what I was mentioning earlier, where the system's going to automatically adjust to your level. And as you start to do well, it's going to challenge you. You're not going to necessarily see it. It's just going to automatically make it a little bit harder for you. But if you meet that challenge, it's going to make it a little bit harder again. But if you ever get to a challenge that's too difficult, it's going to bump it back down to that last level of success. Even you out and then start that process again, because we have to be challenged. We can't do that same thing over and over and over again and expect to grow and have those results. And finally, we need that deliberate practice. And Play Attention incorporates all 3 of these pieces into their program. We've talked about attention, we've talked about challenge, but now let's look at deliberate practice. So the way, and my head's in the way, unfortunately, but I'll kind of lean over to the side here. So when we talk about deliberate practice, one of the things that Play Attention offers, automatically, this is done for each of your clients or students. It starts to set a game goal for them. It sets goals. And basically, after they've played a game 7 times, this goal is going to automatically come up, different goal for each game, depending on how they're doing. And it's a small, manageable goal, because what we're trying to do is move them through different levels and challenge them. And we wanted them to get from A to F, right? But when you tell somebody, oh, you need to go to A to F, that can be difficult. And so sometimes we need to help them by providing the B, C, D, and E in that alphabet, right? To get them between those 2 points. And that's what this deliberate practice through this goal setting is doing. It's giving them very small, manageable goals that can be achieved, and that's pushing them to that bigger goal. So really small in that large picture that we're working on. So there's going to be a game goal for every game that they play, but there's also that behavioral goal. And I mentioned that earlier. So here's what I was talking about, and that's where this shows up, where it gives them that behavior goal as well. So this is automatically done for all of your students based solely off their gameplay. So very deliberate for them to really focus in and practice effectively. Also, the system is going to generate as much data as you could possibly want. This is a very valuable tool for our professionals, because sometimes you have to show, especially if you're an educator, how somebody's improving, how they're benefiting from this. But just as a professional wanting to know how your client is progressing through the process, Play Attention does that. It's all built into the program. So you have data reports to document, show, and share progress. So every single time an individual goes on the system, it is collecting data on their progress. And so again, if you're a Play Attention provider right now and you haven't really effectively used those reports, that's something that we can connect with and really help you through that process. It is going to give them immediate feedback within Play Attention. So as soon as an individual is done playing a game, it gives them immediate feedback. It's going to let them know, did they meet their goal? And then how did they do for the day? And every game has a little bit different data, but they're all going to show the attention percentage. They're all going to show the level that you're on. They're all going to show the length of time you played. And then each of them have something a little bit different. You see in this one, there's complete, meaning yes, they completed the game, correct versus incorrect, and then impulsive. And so it's going to show all of that information automatically as soon as that game is over. Here's another example of the reports. So here's correlating two pieces of data together. So it's looking at somebody's attention versus the length of time that they've played on the games, on two different games, or on all of the games, I'm sorry. And so you'll see in the beginning, it's a little bit inconsistent. And that's pretty common because when we learn something in the beginning, we're learning, right? And we're building that consistency, but you see that starting to level off as they build that skill. And that's a great thing because every time, again, that they go on and train, the system's automatically collecting data on that individual. Now, for privacy purposes, we don't keep any data. It's all kept locally for you, so you have that peace of mind. And another really valuable tool for our professionals is you have a way to easily share progress with teachers, parents, and mentors. We have what's called the Circle of Success, and every individual, every client, every student that has their own training plan has a Circle of Success. And this Circle of Success is just that, right? That village, that saying it takes a village is really, really true, especially when we're working to build specific skills to really help individuals in the long term, right? And so the Circle of Success is where you can put teachers, parents, guardians, mentors, other professionals, anyone that has stake in that individual's success. And by putting that individual in there with just a click of the button, you can get those reports sent to them. So you don't have to download the report, find their email, attach it to an email, send it via email, worried that maybe they're not going to get the email. Is it going to go in their spam? All of those different pieces. With just a click of the button, you can send that progress of that individual over for the individuals in that Circle of Success. And they can be taken in and out. They're interchangeable, so there's flexibility with that, but a really valuable tool to help us stay on track and share that progress as we go through. Now, I mentioned the goals. The goals can be integrated with a rewards program as well. And so basically what that looks like is when someone meets a goal, they earn a point if you're using the reward system. Now, know that you can use that goal. I mean, the goals are going to automatically generate whether you use rewards or not. So those goals are always going to be there because that's a really important piece of deliberate practice. However, with some individuals, integrating that reward system can be really, really effective. And you can make it very customizable for each individual. And so you can create rewards that are available for all of your clients, all of your students, or you can make them individual. Maybe you're working with a parent or another teacher or something like that. And basically what happens is you create a reward with a point value, and then they start earning those points, and then they can go in and purchase rewards, and just a way to help keep them motivated and help them, stay engaged. Now, you've heard me talk a lot about Sheer Genius, and that is our artificial intelligence. It plans those sessions for you. It does so many, so many different pieces for you as you're going along that it really makes things very, it makes things very customizable and automatic for you. And I think that's really what I want to provide to you and I want to give you is that all of these things built into Play Attention are very customizable, but they're all automatic and out of the box. It does all of this for you without you having to go in and do anything manual. You create their profile, and then boom, Sheer Genius takes over, and it makes it very, very user-friendly. It's going to set the daily curriculum once you've determined their training plan, sets a minimum goal for each cognitive exercises. So there are certain benchmarks that will need to be hit for individuals to move from each level. The system determines that, as well as tracks that and progresses them when necessary, tracks and awards points and goals when goals are reached. So once you create those rewards, it tracks all of that for them, manages the rewards program, and monitors their progress. And so Sheer Genius does all of this for you. So you don't have to do any of this. It's all done for you. So key features built into Play Attention are designed for success. So what we've talked about is a lot of different features, which include the body wave armband, cognitive training, full behavioral shaping, curriculum control, customization for each individual, academic bridge for that transfer and generalization, session reviews, journal for reflection, deliberate practice model, challenge with success, right? Balance with success, your data reports, and your reward system. So that is Play Attention and the key points to that. Now, as I mentioned before, some individuals are present on our in our meeting, on our webinar today, that are our current Play Attention providers, and maybe you don't use the focus assessment. So I want to talk a little bit about the focus assessment, because this is something that you can add on to your program. You can become accredited in the focus, and it's a really great tool. It's a tool we use here at Play Attention, and it assesses individuals. So basically it gives us a baseline. It's a norm-based test of attentional control. So we're comparing individuals to their peers, and we're seeing where they fall in that norm range. And so it gives us a really good baseline. Are they below the norm? Are they on the norm? Are they above the norm? It can be used across the board because they're not doing any reading, any writing. It's very simple tasks, like when you see the yellow star, you hit the space bar. The difficult piece of it is it's slow, mundane, starts to repeat itself. It's frankly all boring. And so by putting them in that least ideal situation, we really can see how they're performing. But it gives us also that roadmap of where they need to go, right, to get them to meet those goals. So it assesses. It helps with lead generation. So it's something that you can offer for free if you would like, and bring individuals in to really give them a picture of where maybe some areas for improvement are and how to get to those areas of improvement, which convert leads to clients, right? It takes those individuals that are maybe a little bit interested, and you're showing them that roadmap, because there are other programs out there, but they don't quite give you that clear picture of how you're going to get to those goals. And Focus really can do that for us. So you can assess your client's needs immediately and immediately customize their training plan. So the assessment's 20 minutes in time. It's done. As soon as it's done, those results are there. And with those results, that neurocognitive training plan can be developed immediately. And so again, a really great tool to show not only areas that they need improvement, but how are we going to get to that improvement? So Focus looks at 4 areas of attentional control. Again, it's norm-based, so your individuals are compared to their peers. It's looking at consistency, so that stamina, that accuracy, the ability to follow through. So we have specific games that work on that. Performance, which is our ability to process, and our memory. It looks at our impulsivity. Now, remember, every exercise is going to work on that impulsivity, so it's really good just to see where somebody falls at on that range. And also, they're going to be distracted during the assessment. So it's going to let you know, how do they perform when there's auditory distractions? How are they performing when there's visual distractions? So not one, but both. And is it both, or is one more than the other? And then how can we really create a customized training plan that works with that? Because eventually we want them to be able to filter those distractions, but we may need to put some things in place initially, like headphones or more of a quieter area for them to start their training. But eventually we want them in all environments. But it does really give us that baseline of where they are and how we're going to get them to that graduation point. So what are your professional options? These are areas that you have the ability to be a professional with Play Attention. So we have our professional system that is using the Play Attention. So the three-part integrated program, the Body Wave Armband integrated with the cognitive training exercises, behavioral shaping. You have unlimited user licensability, but our professional system is designed to do one-to-one training. So working with one individual at a time. We then have the iLab. So once you're a professional, if you would like to expand your program to either do group training or virtual training, you have the ability to go into the iLab system. And that gives you, again, the ability to do group training or virtual. It's not either or. When you go into iLab, you have the ability to do both. So we have maybe a group, and then you maybe have some virtual clients as well. And then we also have our certified provider program, and we're going to talk about that. And the certified provider program can be partnered with the professional system or partnered with the iLab system. So let's talk a little bit about that. So when we talk about the professional system now, you have that body wave technology, you have the behavioral shaping module, you have the 6 core cognitive training exercises, you have a personal executive functions coach for as long as you use the program, you have free staff training, unlimited user licenses, and a lifetime membership. So if this is something that you haven't gone to yet and you're really interested in, this is our basic coming into the professional option for Play Attention. The cost on it is $2,495. It's a one-time fee. There's no monthly fees. There's no subscription fees. That's your system to keep and use as long as you like. Now, we have partnered with a company called Affirm, who they offer payment plans. So that is something that if you've been looking at Play Attention for a while and the investment has been something that's been a little tricky for you, if you're interested in learning more about the payment plan option, you can type that in the chat box, type in payment plan, and we will reach out to you and talk through that process with you. So that is something that's been fairly new over the last couple months. So we wanted to let you know for individuals that might be around and might have been around and before that. But also if you're a current client and you want to expand your program, you can use Affirm for that as well. So it's not just beginning to purchase. You can use it for expanding. And so you have that opportunity. Again, if you're interested in learning more about it, just type in payment plan and we will reach out. Now, unfortunately, right now, our payment plan is only available to individuals in the United States. So know that there is that limitation on there. Now, remember, the professional system just gives us that ability to do the one-to-one training. Now, if you're interested or you already do the one-to-one training and now you're like, I would like to expand and I'd like to do maybe 2 individuals at one time or 3 individuals or 4, you have the ability to now expand your professional system with iLab. And iLab, again, gives you the opportunity to do either group training or virtual training. And so you can work with as many students as you want. In this example, it's showing there's 1 trainer and then they're working with 4 students, and that trainer sees all of their data live. And so if somebody's attention goes down to 0, it will let them know, it will ping that account so the trainer can be, can see, oh, okay, what's going on. Or if the attention goes all the way up to 100%, is something going on? What are we doing here? What might be triggering that? So it's still going to give them live data like they would if they were, essentially right beside them doing the training. And so it gives you that availability to do that. Now with that, we also have where you can do virtual. So here's an example of, 2 individuals, they're working on different games, but they're there with 1 trainer. Now, it also gives you the ability to do distance training. So again, you can do both. It's not one or the other. iLab offers you both. But with distance training, you're able to essentially do the same training with someone wherever they are. So obviously they'll need a computer. If they have a camera, you'll be able to see them actually training live. You're going to see their data live. So you actually see that live feed data. You have voice, you have text, you have again, video calls if they have a camera available. And really, there's no geographical constraint on that. And so that is an area that a lot of individuals, professionals that we have with Play Attention are moving to. You know, COVID had a lot of unique constraints when that first happened. And so this gave some professionals the opportunity to continue to train some of their clients where they didn't have to come into the office. Now, some professionals are going back to group training, and so there's still that opportunity. If you want to talk about return on investment, we've got a couple of slides, and we can talk through return on investments. So if you're interested on learning about how this would look specifically for your business, you can type in, you know, return on investment or ROI, and we'll reach out and talk through that process. I did have a question I wanted to I wanted to address it right away that said, what's the difference between virtual and distance? There is no difference. We're using that term one and the same. So it's exactly the same system. iLab can do distance training or group training, right? Okay. So let's see here. Let me go to that next slide here. So when we're talking about iLab pricing, so you have to start with that professional Play Attention system. So you start with that system that's $2,495. And then you will add the iLab software, licensed software. And that is the ability to start networking those systems together, as well as have those virtual options. That's a one-time fee. As soon as you have that iLab license, that's yours. And then this really comes down to how do you want to invest with your individuals? You know, what do you want this to look like? So every individual that's doing the training, whether they're doing distance or whether they're doing group training, needs to have a student station. That's the body wave armband that gives you software. And so it really depends, and this is where kind of that ROI would come into place, is how big or how do you want that program to look? So if you want to train 3 students in one sitting, you already have your professional system. So that's one body wave armband. So you would need 2 additional student stations to do that training. Now, each student station is $1,995, but we do have an opportunity for you to do that on a payment plan option. You would pay $899 down, and then you would pay $99 a month for 12 months. Now, when we're talking to professionals, one thing we like to just share is oftentimes there are 2 distinct platforms or processes that our professionals will use when they're doing iLab. One, especially in the virtual sense or distance sense, if somebody is training remotely, distance, virtual, and they are, they need to have that body wave armband, and they're going to have it for a significant amount of time, because generally we're looking at 8 months to a year of training. And so we have professionals that will have the client actually purchase that student station and then keep it after the training is done, or we will have individuals, professionals lease that equipment out during that time. So just some opportunities to kind of think about when we're talking about expanding the program. And so, you know, when we talk about Play Attention, you know, we work with so many professionals. You know, 40% of our business is professionals. And, you know, our professionals do a fabulous job working with their clients, with their students, and making those connections. And Play Attention is a fabulous tool that can really accentuate what you're already doing. But how do you market that, right? That is recently we created what is called our Certified Provider Program, which you saw on the other slide. And this, again, can be partnered with just our one-to-one Play Attention professional program or the iLab, because we work with so many professionals that are like, I love Play Attention, I love working with my clients, but marketing it can be really hard, and it can be really expensive, and it takes so much of my time, which I would so much rather be spending my time with my clients. And that's how our Certified Provider Program was born. And so when you're a part of our Certified Provider Program, we essentially do the marketing for you. We help you define your target audience. We help you know how to reach that target audience. Know how to, we know the problem that you're solving, because a lot of times you can bring a marketer into your business, but they're not familiar with Play Attention. And this is specifically Play Attention professionals that are working with you. So they know how to use Play Attention. They've done this. They know that problem you're trying to solve. They will help you lay out a comprehensive strategic plan, and we will help you promote your business. And so the different areas that we include clear goals. So we do a lot of goal setting in the beginning. Marketing strategy, how are we going to strategize? We provide you with the marketing materials. Just like materials at Play Attention, they're going to look exactly the same, except they're going to give you a little spot for you to put your business name and then your action plan. And the great thing about our certified provider program is the dashboard has all of these tons of materials available to you day one as a certified provider. So you don't have to wait for a certain amount of time or do this or do that. All of that is available. And you're not just going through those materials on your own. You're working with one of our professionals here, one of our business professionals in the office to help you go through this and really build that plan that's going to work effectively for you. So if you want to be part of our certified provider program, the certified provider license is $2,000. And then there is a fee, $50 a month, but that's because you get brand new marketing materials every single month. So that they may be social media posts, pamphlets, blog posts, newsletters, ebooks, all of these things that we are using here at Play Attention, we're providing for you as well for you to use directly in your business. And they're very, very effective, very well done. And actually, if you look at marketing and what a marketer is going to charge you, a lot more cost effective than what you would pay if you were working with an independent company. So this is an option that you have going forward. And I know I'm getting way over my time, so I appreciate everybody hanging on. And I know a few people have dropped off, but that's okay. So as a thank you for spending your time with us today, we want to let you know that we are having an exclusive offer for our professionals. It's valid through November 8th. So you've got a little bit of time here to make some decisions on what you want to do, and you'll get 10% off your total order. So anything that you order, except for the iLab Student Station, since that's already discounted at that $1,995, that is the only thing that we cannot discount anymore. However, anything else you purchase, you get that 10% discount on. So something that's really actually, especially if you've been thinking about getting ready to start, this will help save a little bit of money as you get started. So what are your next steps as I start to wrap up well past my 30 minutes? So again, thank you for hanging on. You've got a couple options. And so these are what we can do. And then I'm going to get to some questions. So number one, are you ready to start? Or are you ready to expand? If you're ready to start with Play Attention, go ahead and put your phone number in the chat box and we will call you and help you get started with your program. If you're already a Play Attention provider and you're ready to expand or you want to talk through expanding, again, please put your phone number down and that way we can reach out to you and talk through that process with you. If you're like, I still want to learn a little bit more about Play Attention, specifically for me, especially if I'm not a current provider, you can schedule a consultation with us. We do a one-on-one consultation. They're usually about 45 minutes to an hour. They're free, and we'll talk specifically in more detail about Play Attention and how it would work specifically for your company, for your clinic, for your school. So if you're interested in a consultation, go ahead and type in consultation, and we'll reach out to you to get that schedule. If you want to see just what it looks like, if maybe you don't have Focus yet and you have a client or you yourself would like to take that Focus assessment and just see a little bit more of what that's like, our Focus assessments by themselves usually run $50 a piece, but as a thank you offer, we will offer them at 50% if you'd like to try out that Focus assessment. So if you're interested in trying out that half price Focus assessment, you can type in Focus And basically what we will do is we'll send you out that focus assessment, you'll do it, and then we'll do about a 30-minute review and you'll really get the full experience. Now, I did see a question come across that said, if you want to be accredited in focus, that is an $800 fee. So if you want to become accredited in focus, it's a one-time fee of $800. And then each focus assessment you do is $25 a piece. That's the wholesale cost of our focus assessments, but you can charge up to $50 a piece for those if you would like. So if you want to become accredited, that's what it looks like. And then finally, if you just want to have a quick chat, maybe if I don't get to your question, or you just want to have a quick chat and you want to talk through something specific, you can type in chat with your phone number and we will call you back and have a quick chat with you.